Welcome to episode number 2 of my Thailand Video Diary. In this part, you'll see more of the south of Thailand and some parts of Malaysia. It was time to leave Koh Samui after my first 60 days to extend my tourist visa by re-entering the country. Sanah and I packed all our belongings together and her family picked us up at the pier in Don Sak. We drove to Hat Yai, where her siblings and mother lived. It was great to get to know them a little bit, even though there was a clear language barrier. I enjoyed being in a less touristic environment. On the day before going to Malaysia, we visited a giant waterfall where I was the only tourist. Then we drove with the sister of her mom to some friends in Perlis in Malaysia. It was still Ramadan, so in the evening we went to the market and after the sunset we sat down on the kitchen floor and ate dinner. Then we drove outside again to make the laundry and to get some gas, since the fuel was almost empty. Unfortunately, we found out that foreign cars were not allowed to be fueled. That was a measure to prevent too many people coming to Malaysia just for the cheap resource, which was only half the price. The next morning, the son of the family bought 2 containers of diesel and transferred them with a tube. We drove around to look for some attractions like waterfalls or beaches. Instead, we crossed a police checkpoint where the officers took their time to control every document very carefully. They also meticulously wanted to understand what I was doing here. It was my first time in Malaysia, and because of encounters like this, it felt more strict already. But I would learn much more about this country and their inhabitants in the following weeks. The next morning, I woke up from a knock on the door at 4 a.m., which meant it was time for breakfast. Later, at noon, we drove back to Thailand. I got my 60 days and was happy. Sanah and I thought about the next trip and decided to drive with the bike to Satun, her home province. On the way, we took a break at a nice refreshing waterfall. Later, we took a boat together with her friends to a Muslim half-island, which is super close to Perlis in Malaysia, where we had been a few days before. One of her friends lived there and he gave us a small tour on the motorbike before sunset. Then we made some mango salad, ate dinner together and played some Thai checkers, which Sanah taught me. I learned to love that game. During the night, the boys and girls slept separately. But together, we woke up at 4 a.m. to eat once again. I think I'd never get used to that rhythm. In the afternoon, we returned to the pier in Satun, and later, Sanah and I took a boat to Langkawi, the Malaysian neighbor island, since it was so close already. We rented a bike and drove to Skybridge, which is full of bars and attractions. We also stayed at the other side of the island another night and went to a local market. We could see the Thai island Kot Darudao from the beach, and Sanah told me a little bit about its history. It was used to abandon prisoners who tried to survive and flee from the island. On the second last day, we visited the famous bridge of Langkawi in the middle of the jungle. We went up in the 2.2 kilometer long cable car with 2 strangers from Russia. One of them was scared of altitudes and sweat like crazy, which was funny because he didn't lose his humor. The view from the bridge was amazing. The next day we were on the way back to the pier in Satun. While waiting at the border checkpoint, I talked to a German guy that just cycled from Singapore to Thailand. He wanted to cycle all over the world to Alaska. Very inspiring to see people freely living their dream. In the afternoon, we drove to the north of Satun, where a friend of Sanah worked at a small resort next to a river. After the hot and tough ride with a motorbike, we finally arrived, and I couldn't wait to cool down in the river. It was a beautiful feeling to hold onto a rock with one arm and let the channel current hold my body up the water as if I was flying Superman, as long as I could hold my breath at least. The next day we went kayaking in that river, which was a lot of fun. There was a big group that started at the same time with us, and it was completely chaotic and funny at first.
Now slow down.
Luckily, the staff was very helpful,
Oh, thank you.
so we could enjoy the beautiful river without too many difficulties.
Yes, baby. Very good. Oh, you can give me back, Emma.
Still, it was a miracle that we didn't get injured.
Don't be scared. You can do it.
Then we drove back to the resort, and after a short break, we drove to the Pupa Pet Cave. The fourth biggest cave in the world, with an age of over 250 million years. It was magical to walk through it with a guide and a group of Thai people while it was raining outside. One of the formations looked like a sitting Buddha statue. Just before returning to the resort by the river, we stopped at a beautiful waterfall. It was cloudy and quite cold already, but that didn't stop us from climbing it. And surprisingly, the soft rocks were from limestone and thus not slippy at all. Then we packed everything together and drove with the bike close to the pier again. In the next episode, you'll see how we spent a few days on the beautiful islands Koh Lipe and Koh Adang. See you then. Thanks for watching.